What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Runewords Reimagined. This is the show where even I don't understand a goddamn thing that I'm saying. So, today what we are actually trying to do is we are trying to make a rune word called Bone. And what Bone is a rune word for the Necromancer that actually helps the Necromancer's bone abilities to be a lot better. And the reason why I feel like this is a good thing and why it's kind of important is because one of the things I like about Diablo 2 Reimagined is they are trying to find ways to make builds that before were not very viable in terms of end game builds into builds that you could use in the end game. For example, right now, if you were to go on max roll, I'm sure everybody here probably knows what max roll is. Let me go ahead and pull this up just to give you guys the example of what I am talking about. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this over here. I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger so it's easier for you guys to see. Let's just maximize it. So when you look at late game tier list for the Necromancer, the first thing you'll notice is there isn't very many builds that can actually be considered S tier. And the only one that's in here for the Necro is my personal favorite, and that is Poison Nova. Mostly because I usually play meta builds. Yeah, I'm that guy. Not gonna lie to you guys. I always like to do that. I always want to have the strongest character I can possibly have. So for example, with Diablo 2, I usually would play as a Poison Nova. Now, if we go down to A tier though, we can see that Summon Necro is in the A tier, but it is at the very bottom of the list for A tier. And if we go down even further, you will see in B tier is the Mercenary Corpse Explosion build. Now, if we wanted to play as a Bone Spear Necromancer, it would not be very beneficial for us whatsoever, because as you can see here, it is damn near the bottom with only, what is this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, literally in 9th place from the bottom. So there are only 8 builds in the game that are actually worse than Bone Spear Necromancer. So this rune word, like I just said a little while ago, is definitely something that the Necromancer really needs. And how we are going to make this is with a Bur Rune and an Rune, which might sound a little bit expensive because you have to use a Bur Rune, but in this version of Diablo, finding a Bur Rune or simply transmuting runes up into a Bur is not nearly as hard as it is in other versions of Diablo. So you can definitely get your hands onto a Bur Rune. Now, the first thing I wanted to do though is I want to be able to maximize my returns on this rune word right here. So I decided, because I was doing this before I started recording for the video, and I thought to myself, you know what? Why don't we just do some of this in the video so I can teach anybody out there who maybe doesn't know how to re-roll their gear to try to find the best version of their gear to really maximize the returns you can get in terms of saving your runes and then using them to re-roll things. So what we need to re-roll a basic item, as you can see, I have a mummified trophy right here, which is just a plain white item. You need a Hell rune and you need an L rune. And we've been using this a lot. I know not just me, a lot of people who are playing Diablo 2 Reimagined use this recipe a lot to try to get better affixes onto our items. Now, all you have to do at this point is just hit the transmute button and see what you get. So this one, it's not very good at all, right? I would prefer to have +3 to something bone related because we are making a rune word that is going to be specifically for the Bone Spear Necromancer or just Bone Necromancer in general, because I know not everybody plays Bone Spear. There are variations on it. And another thing that's great about Diablo 2 Reimagined is you can actually try to make new variations of old builds that were not viable whatsoever, but can be viable now thanks to new rune words and new uniques. So this is definitely not the roll that I want. We will try again a couple of times, but for the sake of this video, I don't want to sit here all day and keep re-rolling, but we will give it a couple of shots. So now we got +2 to Iron Maiden, not really digging that. Now over here, okay, so I got 1 to Poison Explosion, but again, this is for a Bone Necromancer. I got 1 to Bone Wall, which is nice. summon resist, which is okay, but still not quite what we're really looking for. Now, I'm going to try this again, 2 to Iron Golem this time. You can re-roll it and re-roll it and re-roll it. So I got 3 to Decrepify, 1 to Blood Golem, 2 to Summon Resist, none of which I really want on this. No, let's just try it again. I know it might take a little bit of time here, but I would rather re-roll it and hopefully find something that is at least a little bit better. By the way, an IO rune, which is above a Hell rune, I just so happen to have a lot of these. Let me look here. So I have 19 left. I've already done this quite a few times. If you don't have enough Hell runes, right now I have 4, and to me, Hell runes are very, very valuable, so I don't really want to waste all of those. But what you can do is, I don't really care about IO runes, so what I'm going to do here is I'll hit the transmute to turn it into another Hell rune right there, like so. Also, I need to save this one, I believe. Yeah, so I had like almost 60 something Tur runes when I started doing this. Right here it says that I have 33. So what I'm gonna do though is, since I don't care about Tur runes, I'm gonna put it in here, hit transmute, hit it one more time. Now I have another L rune, and now we have another Hell and an L rune, and that's how we can end up getting more of those. So this gave me dog shit stats, so that ain't that great. So right about here, I think I'm probably going to cut and try to do this a few times, because I'm sure people aren't going to want to sit here for 30 minutes while I try to re-roll this thing into something that might be viable for the rune word. So I'll probably do a jump cut right here, and then after that, hopefully I'll come back and we'll have something at least a little bit better. But I'm definitely not going to sit here all day and try to waste all of my runes, so let's see how it goes. Okay, so I've been trying for quite a while now and have not been really having much luck at all whatsoever. So I've decided that this is going to be the last time that I try to do this, and after that we're just going to move on so that I can actually show you what the rune word does for you. But just be aware that you can do this if you want to your heart's content, until you get that perfect roll that you want to actually maximize that right there. So let's try. This is the last time, and wow, the last time that I tried gives me the absolute worst roll I've ever gotten while trying to re-roll this one, but that's okay, because I don't want to waste any more of my runes. So we're going to put that back there. We are going to go into the stash and grab a couple of jewels so I can put a couple of sockets into this. Now I have 2, and we're just going to move right along. So to make this, I will need a Bur Rune, and I'm also going to need an rune. And let's go ahead and put those in. It would be rather embarrassing for me to mess that up right now. So first is Bur, second is and now we have Bone Reimagined. Now there is a rune word named Bone in original Diablo 2. I will go ahead and pull it up just so we can all see what I'm talking about, because Bone was a rune word before, but it has now been changed for Diablo 2 Reimagined. Okay, so we finally found it. It's right here. And as you can see, Bone was already a rune word. It has actually changed quite a bit from what it used to be. So the old version of Bone was 15% chance to cast level 10 Bone Armor, 15% chance to cast level 10 Bone Spear on striking, 2 to Necromancer skills, 1 to 152 mana, all resistances plus 30, and damage reduced by 7. So this is the old version of Bone right here. Let me see if I can maybe put it right next to each other, but with my luck it's probably not going to work out for me, because nothing ever wants to work out for me properly. Okay, so I managed to get this up in a relatively good spot. This way we can do a comparison, and as you can see, Bone Reimagined is much different from the original version. With this version of the Bone Rune word, or as we call it now, Bone Reimagined, you get +4 to poison and bone skills. So you could use this on a Poison Nova Necromancer if you wanted, just to make yourself a little more powerful, because you also get +2 the Necromancer skills, which means you're actually getting +6 to your poison and bone skills, as opposed to over here where it just says there's a chance that you can cast 10 bone armor or 10 bone spear, or just straight up 2 to necromancer skill levels. So I'm sure you guys can all see why it would be way more beneficial to you to get this version of bone, because it effectively gives you +6 as opposed to +2. Not only that, but it also adds 5 to 14 poison damage over 3 seconds, which isn't really all that much, but I'll take it. You get +3 to bone spirit, you get +3 to bone prison, you get +3 to bone spear, you get +3 to bone wall, you get +3 to bone armor, all resistances +22, which is pretty nice, but as you can see, this can roll up to 30 and damage reduced by 8%. Now, what I'm trying to emphasize here is all of those +3s down there, because this, for the first time, gives bone skills for the necromancer a way to actually function in endgame. Now, you could always use the bone spear necro in endgame, but it would be very hard and it would not be a very fun time. Now, I can guarantee there will be somebody out there who's gonna be like, well, you know, if I have this, and that, then actually, you know, bone spear is the best thing in the game. And I'm sure there are those people out there who were able to make it work even without something like this. But for the rest of us peons out here who don't have giant 360 IQ levels, we need something like this to help us out. Now, as you can see, not only are you going to get those +3 to all of that, but you're also going to get +2 to necromancer skill levels, which means that's +5, and +4 to poison and bone skills, which means that is +9. So yes, you're not actually getting just +3 to bone spirit, you know, +3 to bone prison, yada yada yada. You're really getting more along the lines of +9 to all of those skills, which can make a lower level skill much more viable when it has that much more skill points put into it. Because I mean, I don't care what anybody says. If you have, let's just look at our stash real quick, shall we? So I currently only have 2 skillers, but as you can see, there is all this room in the stash now, right? So if I was to fill this up completely with just plus to bone skills, are you really going to tell me that +50 bone spirit is not going to be good? +50 bone prison is not going to be good. +50 bone spear is not going to be. Yes, any single skill in this game, if you have enough points in it, can be an amazing skill for you to have. So as you can tell here, they have really reworked, right, both of these rune words right here, and made this a little easier to obtain, in my opinion. Now, obviously, Soul is easier to get than Bur, but like we were talking about earlier, Bur is not very hard to find or make in this version of the game. So this right here is a great rune word, and if you're a necromancer and you want to play as a bone spear necro and not have to do poison nova again just to get into the end game, I definitely recommend Bone Reimagined. Also, keep in mind here that I did not roll anything good on this base. You could theoretically get +3 to bone prison, bone spear, bone wall, bone armor, whatever. Usually you can get 3 of those affixes that give you +3. So let's just say, for the sake of argument here, I was able to find a base that had +3 to bone wall, +3 to bone spear, and +3 to bone prison. On top of everything else that this rune word gives me, I would now have +6 to each of those, which would take our +9 all the way up into +12, which is even crazier. So yes, this rune word is fan-freaking-tastic, and I have to recommend it for anybody that wants to play a necromancer that is not just a strictly poison necromancer, but even for just a poison nova necromancer. If you are able to make this and you can't find some of the other gear pieces that you might need to actually have way more damage output for your poison necromancer, you could make this in place of something else until you find something better. I think that's pretty much all I have to say on this one. Hope you guys all liked the video, and I will see you guys next time. Late.